Hi, Renee here, and I'm here today just to show you a pretty cool stamp set. It's called Love and Bloom, and it's number D1819 if you're looking for it. It is a multi-step stamp set, and it is actually 6 different pieces that you stamp on top of each other. You do have a couple of little flowers. I didn't use those, but you could use those to do some highlight stamping on a couple areas. So the way that I found the easiest way to do this is, excuse me, is to stamp your word love, which is number 1, and it says number 1 on the stamp set. Then to stamp number 2, number 3, and then for 4 and 5, I actually flipped them. I did 5 first and then 4. I found it easier to line everything up if I did 5 first and then 6. So, excuse me. The love itself, it stamps with, it doesn't stamp solid, it just stamps an outline. And I wasn't very good at lining up all the rest of my stamps. So I'll show you, I'll pop some pictures up here in the corner of each step. So love is the first step, and then your next step, I am so sorry. Your next step is going to be this color here. And these are all of the colors that I used. So I used Archival Black for the love, and I did that on purpose because our shin hand markers, the black, matches exactly. And that's what I used to color it in. So I used Archival Black for the first stamping. Then for number 2, I used Blossom, and that's the pink flowers there. And because I colored in the letters after I was done, I found that it was a whole lot easier, and I didn't have to be too concerned when I kind of went over some areas. And again, I'll pop up pictures of each of the steps so you'll see that some of the pink went over, and I left this one open because I'm going to color it for you and show you how easy that is. Then for number 3, I used Willow, and again, I'll pop up a picture for you, and that's all of these leaves here on the outside. I found the easiest way to line these up is on the stamp set itself. You can see some lines, and they will line up, like this line here will line up on that side of the V. So you'll know that the V goes right in the middle. I think once you start using it, you'll see what I'm talking about. My first couple didn't turn out real spectacular, but I was able to save them and still make cards with them. So it worked out. So that was number 3. And then, like I said, I switched 4 and 5. So actually 5 is what I did next, and I used Tangerine for 5. You could also use a yellow if you wanted the centers of your flowers to be yellow. But I thought the orange looked really nice against the blossom. The tangerine looked really nice against blossom, and then went well with the willow color. And then number 4, I used Ballerina, because I wanted a softer pink so that it looked like the darker pinks were up front and the softer ones were behind. So that's what I used for that. And then the final color that I used, which was for these little sprigs here and all of the lines in the leaves, I used just a lighter color of green. I used Sage. And I found this particular stamp out of the whole thing, besides the word love, this was the easiest because it was really easy to line up all these little areas because you could see the white through the stamp. So it worked out great. So that's the stamp set. Excuse me. And then what I did was I used our new rectangle thin cuts, and I should have taken that out so you didn't have to listen to me with the paper. I used our rectangle thin cuts, and these are really cool because they give you a border as well as a inner piece that's stitched. And in my case, my pieces were really small, so I didn't end up having a border, but it worked out great to do the stitching around the edge. I thought that really added something. And then I cut out some pieces of some sorbet because it looked nice with it, and I used that outside edge one and cut that. So it was really easy to get everything perfectly cut, stitched edges. And then let me show you what I found was I couldn't get them lined up. So I thought, okay, what could I do? I thought about cutting out some die cuts to cover the letters, but I didn't have any die cuts the right size. So I thought, you know what, let's try using the markers. And it worked out great. And you'll see, I'm gonna do it while you're watching. This is in real time. And it's actually really easy because it's just straight lines. The O was some curved lines, but it was still really easy. And these markers have a really fine point on them. You get a fine point on one end, and then I'll show you the other end. That one's done. Then you have a chisel on the other to cover large areas. So that's what that looks like. These are alcohol markers, by the way. So you do have to make sure you're using an archival black ink and not a dye-based ink. So there's that. So I'll go ahead and show you. I'll put together a card and get a card base out. I love these card bases we sell. There's 50 of them in a pack, and they come with their envelopes, and they're pre-cut and they're pre-scored. They're so easy to use, and they're really good quality. They're a hard cardstock. And I find that they're just, I mean, they're so reasonable in cost that I just do that now. I don't even make my own card bases anymore. I used to buy, you know, the Neenah Solar White that everybody uses. It's a really nice cardstock, but it's pricey. And then you got to cut it all, and you got to score it all, and it never failed. My cuts weren't exactly perfect, so then when I'd fold them, I'd have a little edge and I'd have to cut that off, and it was just so annoying. So, and I'm gonna pop this up with some of the 3M foam tape. You could use, you could just put it flat on your card. You could also just use foam squares. Another option that is pretty cost effective is to buy that cheap fun foam by the sheet at your local hobby store. And then just cut it a little bit smaller and put glue on it and glue it on and use that. That's a really good cost-effective way to do this. So I'm sorry, I got a frog in my throat the second I turned on the camera. Isn't that how it always is? And make sure that our card is opening the correct direction. And you will see that this is such a fast and simple card. You could jazz it up by putting some sequins on it. You could use our shimmer brush and shimmer up the love. I'm going to leave it as is because I think I'm going to be donating these to Cards for Soldiers, and they need you to not use any kind of glitter or anything that could get on their uniforms that would show up, you know, at night. That's not good. So that's the card for today. It was, like I said, pretty simple. If you want any more information about this particular stamp set, let me know. It is in our current catalog, and so it'll be available through, let me check, I'll let you know. It'll be available while supplies last through the end of April 2019. So if you have any questions, please leave me a comment. I'll be happy to hear from you, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.